Good, everybody. It's your brother Nubreed coming through with another live stream. Welcome to another broadcast. So a lot of people have been asking me about what I think regarding Donald Trump's first 100 days in the office of the White House. And I'm going to break it down to you. We got some sources over here. We got some political satire. We got some data and analytics. We got some edification, a little bit of everything. I'm going to give y'all some hot takes. And I hope that a lot of what I bring out stimulates thought. Donald Trump's first 100 days. Let's get ready. The inmates are truly running the asylum and the recession circus is here. Now, I want to first start off on BBC News, and they're discussing Trump's 100-day speech. He did some rally, and, they're fact-checking him on a lot of what he had to say, because it seems like a lot of people are under a spell. And you can see things are not really looking too good in America, but we have this false sense of security because we always fall for politics. We always fall for politicians and presidents. I don't know why. When the answer really is turning to the creator, the answer is really, helping ourselves and thinking outside the box. But nonetheless, let's see what he had to say in his speech, and let's see what they fact check. And then we got other sources, but let's get to it.
Administration's achievements amounted to a revolution of common sense as he celebrated his first 100 days in office. Speaking of Michigan, Mr. Trump insisted his tariff policies were a success, declaring to the crowd, "You ain't seen nothing yet." However, his approval ratings at 100 days are at the lowest level for any president for nearly 70 years.
Sheesh. His approval rating has depleted. It has dwindled to little to no avail. And you can blame that on this tariff war. You can blame that on these experimental moves that he's making, right? And the United States citizens are struggling. They're suffering right now. We all are going through it right now because of these tariffs, this trade war between China and America. But let's go.
Donald Trump also attacked the legacy of his predecessor, Joe Biden, while claiming no other president had achieved more during their first few months in office. That is something we will be fact-checking in just a moment. But first, let's have a listen to Mr. Trump.
We're here tonight in the heartland of our nation to celebrate the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country. And that's according to many, many people.
According to who? Who we going to fact check on that?
So that statement clearly is a matter of opinion. Mr. Trump went on to make a number of other very specific claims regarding his achievements in office, ranging from inflation to immigration. BBC Verifies Jake Horton has been fact-checking Trump's 100-day speech. A lot of you have been reading his article on the BBC News website. Jake, let's start firstly with the price of petrol, which was something that was mentioned by Mr. Trump.
So tackling inflation was a key issue in the campaign, and it's a key issue for the administration in their first 100 days. And specifically on the price of gasoline in the US, so petrol, President Trump said this last night.
So gasoline prices are down by a lot. We just hit $1.98 in a lot of states.
Man, this is ideological subversion. I'm trying to figure out how somebody can stand up, do a speech, and be lying to people. And he could be saying things that are untrue, and you know it to be untrue, but he can say it to you And for whatever reason, his loyal supporters believe it. Like, what kind of sorcery? what kind of spell are these people under? Yeah, somebody, Hitman, said this is high levels of hypnosis. Because, it's like, I just feel like everybody's in a sunken place. He can just get on TV and be like, eggs are lower than they ever been. Eggs are cheap. We did great on Easter. Eggs are great. We have cheap eggs. And you go to the store and the eggs are $13. How is this working? So, in case you're wondering if things are going to get better, that should tell you it's not going to get better, because he's putting a spell on the people so they don't even believe that it's getting worse. So you're going to have people walking around in a blind stupor saying it's getting better. It's getting better. Meanwhile, the prices get worse. Meanwhile, gas is going through the roof. Like, what is happening here? Man, this is insane.
Think of it.
So both of those things are not accurate. So the price of gasoline from the day that Trump entered office to this week has actually ticked up slightly, according to the American Automobile Association, which tracks this sort of thing. On the 20th of January, the day that Trump entered office, the average gas price, regular gas price in the US was $3.13, around about that. And this week it stands at $3.16. So not up massively, ticked up slightly, but certainly not way down, as Trump said in that clip. And he also made a very specific claim about gas prices in certain states. And he said they're down to $1.98 in a lot of states. And the same association.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're using fact checkers through BBC right now. But ladies and gentlemen, let's just do a fact check within the chat. How much is gas where you respective brothers and sisters are at? Because I'm trying to condescend to the lowest level. And so, the viewers can really see what's really happening opposed to what they're telling us on the news. If you're in the chat watching, ladies and gentlemen, just name your gas prices right now in the chat. Is there anywhere that gas is under $2? And this is the hypnosis I'm talking about. When people are in denial, it's like so many people put so much hope in this guy that they're in denial that his plans are failing. The lowest I've seen in the chat is 270. Everybody else is 280 and above. I see some people's gas as high as 345. So this leads me to believe he don't plan on changing anything if he's lying about what's happening.
Tracks gas prices across the US, also breaks it down state by state, and there's no evidence that any state has an average gas price that low. The lowest state is Mississippi. In Mississippi, the average gas price at the moment this week is $2.67. So a fair bit off that $1.98 that Trump quoted in his rally last night.
What about immigration?
On immigration, obviously another major campaign issue and an issue for the administration. And on his record on immigration in his first 3 months in office, President Trump said this last night.
We've set all-time records for the lowest number of illegal border crossings ever recorded. Think of that, ever recorded.
Is that true?
Now, that is backed up by US Border Patrol statistics. So last month in March, as well as in February.
Now, I could believe that nobody is just willingly trying to cross that border illegally. I don't got that happening. People are not doing that. ICE ain't playing no games. So far as border control, I definitely can believe that data and those statistics as well. But let's go.
First 2 full months Trump was in office, immigration numbers have reached record lows. We have a graphic we can show you of that. That's actually a graphic to do with Doge, but we do have an immigration chart which shows the level of immigration in March, the amount of encounters crossing the US border, hit 7,000, just over 7,000 migrants crossed the US border and were encountered by Border Patrol. So that is the lowest on record since monthly records began in 2000. Compared to the Biden administration, for context, the monthly totals in March last year were around 140,000, so a significant drop. Trump said it was the lowest ever. Migration policy think tanks which track these sort of things say that it certainly is the lowest since records began on monthly data. They do say if you look back to the 1960s, the average monthly totals were lower, but it certainly is a significant drop in recent.
Yeah, somebody said it in the chat. Hitman said it. He said just to decrease organic food. That's a fact. You know, because the immigrants were the ones, you know, tilling the soil for the farms. They were the ones who were the agricultural people who were making sure that we get organic food. So, yeah, I mean, but nonetheless, we can believe this data.
Times the Trump administration has overseen.
You mentioned there, Jake Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, very controversial on the connection to Elon Musk, of course. Let's have a listen to what President Trump had to say about that.
They've saved $150 billion on waste, fraud, and abuse. Doge.
$150 billion of savings.
So this is the government initiative by Elon Musk, which aims to dramatically cut US government spending. On the campaign trail, Musk initially said it would cut $2 trillion from the US federal government budget. He later revised this down to $1 trillion. And Doge's website at the moment said they've cut so far about $160 billion from the federal government budget. Now, that is around about the ballpark that President Trump quoted in his clip there. But it's important to say that a lot of these savings, according to BBC Verify's analysis, are not actually backed up by any solid evidence. So as you can see in this graphic, out of that $160 billion total, which is on Doge's website, only about $60 billion.
So, yeah, you know, some of the issues that Trump addressed, you know, they're pretty minute in the grand scheme of things. Mostly people want to know about these tariffs and what direction is the economy going. But, you know, first, before we get into that, I want to share with you all why I like to discuss politics, just for a brief moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been involved with politics to a degree. Now, I just want to show y'all something real quick. In case y'all wondering who I am, you may be new to the platform. This is me right here. This is a couple of years back, and what you're going to see is I'm next to the Liberian vice president. All right? In Africa, with the Liberian vice president. And the reason I'm showing you this.
We alive right now.
Hi.
Hello.
And the reason I'm showing you this is because I want to make this very clear. I'm a nobleman. I'm a countryman. You know, I have been at tables with dignitaries. I'm an individual who has world responsibilities. And, you know, I've been there and I've done that. So some of the things that I discuss, the reason I talk about it is because I've been in certain circles where we talked about import, export. We discuss certain policies. You know, I've been at that table where, you know, you have to be one in the know. A lot of our people aren't used to speaking in regards to politics because they don't have any responsibilities. And they don't understand these things. But I bring it to light because I have a clearer view of some of the things that's taking place because I've been in these circles. This is true nation building.
Where are we?
We're in Monrovia, Liberia, the first African Democratic Republic. Yes. And we're number one.
The first African Democratic Republic. You know, our people from the diaspora started this. So this is a country for us, by us. And so a lot of things I learned about import export, a lot of things I learned about commodities, a lot of things I learned about nation building and so forth, right? Now I'm only going to play a couple of minutes of this. I'm going to allow her to speak, and then we're going to go back to the sources here.
Yeah, and we're ready to come home. Right, and this is our sister. She's the vice president. She's an Imam, and we're here with our chief, our Pa, And he has granted.
Nubreed Global Truth. We have can we
introduce everything.
Yes. Ambassador Sorba.
So as you can see, you know, I've been in the ranks of ambassadors, dignitaries, so forth, so on and so forth. So when I discuss these things, it's coming from a place of someone who been involved with nation building, community building, all of the above. So because there's a lot of people over here, they may be new to the platform. Like, who is this guy? What gives him the qualifications to discuss politics, export, import, so forth? I'm a countryman, and these are the things that we sit around and talk about. We talk politics. We talk these things, right? Now, yo, Trump has been in the news, man. He's been saying a lot. He's been doing a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump recently said something that was rather alarming. And I want to react to this because we're talking about his first 100 days. And I want to show you how pride then got to his head, man. Let me show you this. The first 100 days, Trump says, let's look at the headline here. Trump says, I run the country and the world. An interview with The Atlantic. He run the country and the world. If you ask me what I think about Trump's first 100 days, I think that we're going towards the direction of a totalitarian government. The way it looks is that we're going in the direction of a dictator. And Donald Trump is able to affect the stock market with just things that he says on the news. And that is alarming. That should be alarming to everyone. So I believe that Donald Trump is bringing us closer to a one world government. And some of the books that I draw my inspiration and sources from, one would be this one right here. One would be this one. Behold a Pale Horse. It breaks it down. The second book would be this one. The Illuminati, the secret society that hijacked the world. Just some reads. In case people want to know, where are you drawing these sources from? What makes you believe that that is the outcome? These books give me a lot of insight. All right. They give me a lot of insight on what's going on when the masses of people are confused. Right. Now, let's continue.
Canada become the 51st state, President Trump has also talked repeatedly about U.S. takeovers of the Panama Canal and the territory of Greenland. In fact, in a recent interview with The Atlantic, the president said he had rid himself of the, quote, crooked guys and investigations that limited his first term. And, quote, the second time I run the country and the world.
I run the country and the world? Now, this sounds like somebody who's power drunk. This sounds like somebody who believes that he's in total control and he believes he's unstoppable. Now, this is the same guy here that said, he said that the world governments are calling him and kissing his ass. That's what he said. And these are the world leaders that he's supposed to be negotiating with in regards to coming up with a sufficient proposal that all countries can abide by when it comes to trade, import, and export. I could tell you this right now. The world does not respect America, and the world does not respect our president. Joe Biden was bad because he was a bumbling fool and a bumbling idiot. Trump is bad because he has absolutely no respect. He has no respect for the Chinese people. He has no respect for the rest of the world. In China, they've been around before America. America is the shortest ruling nation, the shortest ruling kingdom. And the Bible tells us pride cometh before the fall.
Michael Shearer is one of the authors of that story. He joins us now. Michael, thank you for being here. When you heard the president say that quote that ultimately became the title of the piece, what did you take that to mean?
So President Trump came to Washington in 2017 really frustrated with his own ability to get things done. He didn't understand the town. He didn't know the people to hire. And he feels that he not only spent that first term, but then the 4 years afterwards during the prosecutions, after he was effectively blacklisted by corporate America, initially by part of the Republican Party, out of power, again at a disadvantage because he had to defend himself. And I think the defining fact of these first 100 days is after his victory last fall, he no longer has any institutional or individual rivals who are really challenging him. That includes even Democrats and much of.
Now, I want you to understand that the Democratic Party got so convoluted and they have created such a distasteful name for themselves because of the policies that they were putting out regarding gender, sexuality, how they were trying to implement certain things in the school system, how they were, pushing males to fight females in sports or boxing and different sports. That I said this at the beginning of Trump's election. I said, don't be surprised if they get rid of the two wings. Don't be surprised if they get rid of Democrats and Republicans. Don't be surprised if there's no more Democratic Party. And then you get to see that they've been working cohesively together the entire time to break the public down using the Hegelian dialect. And it will be one world leader, or at least an image of an antichrist, so to speak. And the antichrist is multiple people. The antichrist moves. Even in Paul's time, he said there's many antichrists, right? But what I'm trying to express to you is Trump can become an antichrist figure. He can become an antichrist figure. He took a so-called deadly wound and survived. Y'all know that fake ass assassination attempt where he reared his head in victory. I mean, this is the makings of an antichrist figure. He controls the world, is what he said. What did the book of Revelation say about the beast taking a deadly wound and surviving? All of these quote unquote assassination attempts on his life, trying to initiate him into martyrdom or have him looked at as some revolutionary figure. I'm telling y'all, this stuff is real. Somebody said, not fake, a guy died. I don't believe it. Somebody said, you can see the bullet on camera. Let me ask you this. Mike Shipley, I understand that you're a Trump fanatic. You hear, you watching. Let me express this to you. I want you to use your critical thinking skills and deductive reasoning. Anytime a president gets shot, whenever is it okay for the Secret Service to allow him to lift up his head, rear his head, and rear his arms in victory and let him pose for the photo and then, whisk him away? When is that normal? When is that normal? Because the way that should be dealt with is once he gets this shot, he should be corralled. Once somebody shoots at him, he should be corralled all together and hidden from sight. Not being able to be in a line of fire to rear his head, hands in victory. Mind you, he was down on the ground long enough for somebody to put makeup on him, put fake blood on him. He was down on the ground for at least 1 minute and 30 seconds where there was no visibility of him. And then they picked him up with blood leaking and he is rearing his head. Come on now. Use your mind for a second. Let's go.
This first term has been going after and seeking retribution against the legal community, the academic community, against specific named individuals who challenged him in the past, who were part of prosecutions against him in the past. And he has moved very rapidly to make sure that there are really no obstructions to what he can do. And
there's no obstructions to what he can do. Anybody that he made enemies with, he was able to silence them. And we're going to talk about that too, because, you know, Amazon is in deep water right now. And I'm going to show you why, right? But let's go.
And that's really what he's expressing there. This is a do-over presidency for him, and he is doing it over in a way that maximizes his own power.
And so to what does President Trump attribute his return to power, and how much of an influence does that have on his decision-making?
Well, so he talks about his own abilities. I mean, the story of the 4 years out of power is the story of a president who really was able to quietly and steadily rebuild his networks, rebuild his influence, and then come out of the midterms in 2022 more powerful in the Republican Party than he'd ever been before, to use the prosecutions against him in a way that actually enhanced his power in the country, and then to take control of the White House.
The president knows he has the world's attention, and when he says and does things, people watch and people listen.
If Trump wants to get a third term, he may get it. Matter of fact, I believe it was on X where Trump made a post saying that how many of the American citizens in a hypothetical situation want to see Donald Trump versus Barack Obama. This is what Trump posted. So, you know, just forget the rules and regulations that are on the books.
What a president says can move markets. Did you get a sense of what his overall agenda is regarding America's world standing?
He wants to remake the world in his own vision of it. And
he wants to remake the world in his own vision. Like, look, do you hear how Donald Trump is being discussed right now? He wants to remake the world in his own vision. I thought this was a democracy. I don't believe America's a democracy anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Are we under a dictatorship right now? Because if Trump is able to do this in 100 days, what is it going to look like in 2 years? 1 Samuel 8:14, and he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. Yeah, I don't think that scripture relates to this situation here. Make sure if you're going to post scripture in the chat, it's relative to the discussion. Respectfully. Somebody said it's a republic. It looks like a totalitarian government to me.
We've seen that pretty remarkably over the last couple months. I mean, both with the tariffs that he's imposed and then withdrawn and partially kept, with the forced reorganization of military power in Europe by encouraging and actually sort of demanding that European countries take more responsibility of their own defense. That his decision to work very closely with Russian President Vladimir Putin and break rather spectacularly with the Ukrainian president as he tries to negotiate an end to the conflict there. The end of what has been, almost a century of America not trying to expand its own borders. He came into office not having talked about this much on the campaign trail, saying that Canada should be the 51st state, that Greenland should be in our control, and that the Panama Canal should be under greater U.S. control. Those are all pretty remarkable moves. I mean, if you remember in that first inaugural address, he mentions manifest destiny, this idea that the United States has sort of God-given right to the hemisphere.
That's what he believes, that the United States have the God-given right to the hemisphere. Look, the Bible talks about the pride of Babylon. And he's making a lot of enemies, and he's making them real quick.
To controlling this hemisphere, which is just, sort of a remarkable term.
And, it's not, this guy praises him. He's like, it's sort of like a remarkable turn. Look, there's people who worship Trump. I don't know if y'all remember this, but when he got in office, there was like a 90-foot golden Donald Trump statue. And I'm like, man, this is getting out of pocket. This is really getting out of pocket. Now, I want to show y'all something here. And do me a favor, double tap your screen so you can like the video. Man, Amazon is in some trouble because they want to show tariff prices. So the White House fires back at Amazon, and y'all got to see this.
It's a big day for the Trump.
Because y'all got to understand that the control that everybody's president, their king, has over the people is crazy. Now I want y'all to peep this. It says White House hits back at Amazon's plan to show tariff prices.
Trump administration marking 100 days in office, and they've been busy, arguably the busiest of any presidency, at least in terms of executive orders, with the economy and trade taking center stage. Of course, it's those tariffs and the vast changes that President Trump is making to the way America deals with its biggest trading partners and competitors that has stolen the limelight, with one word: uncertainty coming to the fore. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was speaking at the White House a little earlier, and he took a question on the impact of that uncertainty on markets.
I think one thing that has been a little disconcerting for the markets is, President Trump creates what I would call strategic uncertainty in the negotiations. So he is more concerned about getting the best possible trade deals for the American people. We had 4 years of bad deals for decades of unfair trading, and we are going to unwind those and make them fair. What we are doing is...
Let's see. Mike Shipley says, if we could stop everything now, what would you propose as a better solution? We always hear what is wrong, but I never hear any realistic, viable solutions. Who should be running the country? Well, the children of Israel should be running the country, Mike. And I really do like that question right there. I don't have the solution, but I have a solution. And I know you're not familiar with my material, Mike, but I speak a lot about land initiatives. We have a land initiative. And, it's very important that we become independent. It's very important that we remember the God of the Bible, the God that created us all, and cleave close to him. The solution would be to network with like-minded individuals, people that you can build with, people that you can sustain with. I know that they have these initiatives called sustainable living. Well, the real sustainable living is being amongst like-minded people. In case of a catastrophic event taking place, you have people. The people are the power. So realistically speaking, in a time that we're in right now, right, the solution would be to liquidate our assets. That's a solution. See, I have solutions, but not the solution, because the only viable solution that will be imminent is the returning of the Messiah to interrupt and intervene. Because if you leave it into man's hand, all will be destroyed. No flesh would survive this. If you leave this in the hands of these oppressors, no flesh would survive any of this. So, cleave to the remnant. Now, when you talk about who would be in a better position to lead, it would be the 144,000. It would be the children of Israel, the real children of Israel, spread from North, South, Central America through the Caribbeans, Africa, Jamaica, all through the four corners of the earth, who have been persecuted under Greco-Roman enslavement and captivity. The solution would be to give those people leadership, because as long as the wicked bear rule, the people are going to mourn. Give the biblical Israelites their fair due, their just due. But some of the solutions involve actual work that people don't want to do. Now, I can show you solutions, some of the solutions, but people don't actually want to do the work because people aren't ready for the solution. Here it is. When I went to Liberia, which I just showed a lot of you all, when I went there was over 400,000 acres. A lot of that acreage, no, all of that acreage is still there and still free. When I met up with the dignitaries and the vice president, that land was offered to us. But people are not ready for the solution. That's why that land is still empty and free. So, everybody wants to know the solutions, but are people willing to make moves? Are people willing to build with one another? Are people ready to, put their resources towards something that is not our captivity? That's the question. So, you're speaking to an individual who has experience, not just somebody who just firing off at the mouth, right? Let's go.
Is we've created a process. I think the aperture of uncertainty will be narrowing. And as we start moving forward, announcing deals, then there will be certainty. But certainty is not necessarily a good thing in negotiating.
Michelle Fleury is with us in New York. Michelle, it's been anything but a quiet 100 days. On the 100th day, President Trump accuses one of America's largest companies now of a hostile and political act. Their shares fall 2%. They then issue a statement denying that claim. What has been going on?
Exactly as you described it. There was a report from the US newsletter Punchbowl basically suggesting that Amazon was considering posting the import duties next to the product's list price. This led to sharp criticism from White House press secretary.
Now, I want y'all to understand what Amazon threatened to do. Now, I want to mind you all that just last week, Walmart as well as Target warned Trump that there's going to be empty shelves as well as high inflation on products. There's going to be a shortage within a matter of 2 weeks, claimed by Amazon. Now you have no claim by Walmart and Target. Now you have Amazon saying that, look, we're about to show the public how much these tariffs are affecting everyone, the prices. Now, I want you to hear how the White House responded. Now, how is it? Now, first of all, before we get in this, how is this against the law? How is it against the law? How is it any act of T-ism? How is it anything illegal about Amazon showing the prices with the tariffs added? How could that be against the law in any way? This is what I'm talking about. Absolute control is what they want. Listen.
Carolyn Levitt, who called it a hostile and political act, and
he said that's a hostile political act. So if Amazon shares with the public how much these tariffs are costing us, the White House is saying that's a hostile political act. So if you want to know what this man is doing in the first 100 days, he's taking over the world pretty much in the first 100 days. He's basically saying, look, if you do that, y'all in trouble. So they don't want transparency, and anybody who speaks against their economic failures and show and prove what's going on to the consumers and the U.S. citizens, they are a threat to the establishment because they're busy walking around trying to hypnotize you.
Said that Amazon was working with Beijing. Then finally, we got a statement from the company, not directly to the BBC, but other media sources have been able to get a statement from the.
Right. That's what I'm saying, Gladiator. Since when they can tell companies what they can and can't do? I mean, how is that? It's crazy. How is that democratic or a part of a democracy or a republic? No, that's a dictatorship.
The company.
Now, let me respond to this person right now. C Quiz says, you play gray area games. Who was on the devil's side, Trump or Harris? Both. They're both on the devil's side. Nothing gray area about that. What I'm telling you is you need to rely on yourself. What I'm telling you is that you need to cleave to the Lord. Let's go.
Which they dismissed the report, saying that they had never planned to do this on their main site, but that they did consider it for their ultra low cost app, something called Amazon Haul, where goods sell for under $20, but that was never approved and certainly will not go forward. So a bit of a back and forth, but it sends a chilling message, and I think it highlights some of the tension we have seen which exists between the business community and the White House currently, in part driven by Donald Trump's trade agenda. And if you look in the case of Amazon, obviously these 145% tariff on goods coming in from China, that will have a big impact on many of their sellers.
Wow. So what we hearing is that the president don't want that information out there. And I believe it's because it could perhaps generate some type of public outrage. Because let me tell you something. Americans love Amazon. Their Amazon products, they love it. And if anything is going to spark some outrage, it's when whatever's sitting in your basket is costing you $200 to $300 more dollars or 150% more money that you're spending. And it don't have to be that way. And if Amazon was to show that, you get to literally look at it and be like, damn, they hitting us like that. Yeah, they hitting y'all like that. Let me see. Zuba Master says, brother, is cray. Play the 10 tactics of fascism. You will see where we're at. The 10 tactics of fascism. I gotta look that up. Because this does look like some fascist ruler dominion controlling type of stuff, bruh. Yeah.
And Scott Besson, that we're seeing in that clip, suggests that the tariff chaos reflected on the financial markets was intentional and that it would help secure trade deals. Any evidence that's working?
I mean, I think, we heard that India and Korea might be the first across the finish line. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see kind of, the fine print on that one. But certainly it's been having an impact on the markets. If you look at the Dow and the S&P 500 sort of in positive territory at the moment. I think, as you reflect back on the first 100 days, I was speaking earlier to Stephen Moore. He's a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He's also an outside advisor to President Trump. And I put it to him that, look, these trade policies, there was a lot of euphoria when Trump was elected.
That's right. There was a whole lot of euphoria when Trump was elected. Now his acceptance in the general public has declined very low. Sticky Finger says, Nubreed, can you confirm, is it true the American flag cannot order any product from China? Order any product from China? I'm not sure what you're trying to say. But no, that's not true. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start calling a damn SWAT team because you're going directly through, the manufacturers ordering certain stuff. They may start labeling that unpatriotic because now you got China opening up doors for direct connection with the manufacturers. Look, if they're going to tell Amazon not to expose with the price of the tariffs, what's stopping them from just saying, look, anybody order anything from China directly from the manufacturing, you are unpatriotic and we coming to your door. Because that's what it seems like, man. Like we going down that road.
Because of sort of hopes for deregulation and tax cuts. But now these trade wars are sort of hurting growth. Here's what he had to say.
That's the worry, no question about it. The economy has slowed down in the wake of these tariffs. A lot of the manufacturing has really come to a standstill as they try to figure out where the tariffs are headed and how fast this is going to be resolved. I would simply say that, Trump's line is something that I think, a lot of Americans agree with, that this is short-term pain, and there's no question there's been pain, but long-term better trade deals are in the interest of the United States and every other country. But again, if we can reorient our tax system towards, higher taxes on things that are produced outside of the United States, but lower taxes on things made in the United States, that could be something that would be very good for blue collar America. And let's not forget, those are the voters who voted Trump into office.
A lot to cover here, Michelle. One of the other things that they said about Amazon that they accused them of doing was partnering with a Chinese arm.
Oh, snap.
The message seems to have been over the last 100 days, buy American, snub China. Has that been at least...
Snub China? Oh, man, they really trying to stop it already. See, the writing's on the wall. They don't want us to get nothing from China. I mean, this trade war is getting out of pocket.
The one consistent message. It's really a war on China at the last 100 days. Economic war.
I mean, I think that is the big question, is how serious and how much. I mean, we know there are lots of conflicting things driving the trade war in terms of their ambitions and their goals, but one constant does seem to be sort of the animosity that exists when it comes to China. There was talk at one point that maybe these tariffs were going to be used as a wedge to try and drive the rest of the world to come together against China. But given that they sort of have alienated allies, it's kind of a curious strategy, which I...
So, yeah, they have definitely alienated the entire globe from America, bro. They're very arrogant. They're very prideful. They refuse to give the children of the light anything. You know, there's no comprehensive plan for Black Americans. You know, they continue to eat off of our backs. They continue to disrespect the consumers as well as the citizens. Now, in case y'all didn't get the news, hold on, look, we got more sources, but look, in case y'all didn't get the news, so 20,000 Amazon employees were laid off. Not Amazon, pardon me, UPS employees were laid off. 20,000. And those wasn't the only layoffs. You had Boeing layoffs, you had Starbucks layoffs, multiple Facebook secretaries, a whole bunch of people laid off, right? And this goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, there's no security here. There's no security for online jobs either. No security for content creators, for nobody. For nobody. There's no security for nobody. So what does that mean? You got to cleave closer to the Most High. That means that you got to move strategically and begin to think outside the box, begin to network, begin to get skills and trades, start to use the jobs that we have to facilitate something practical that we can call our own. That's what it should be about. Not putting all your eggs in one basket. Not putting all your eggs in one basket. Having plans and contingency plans. Having plans and contingency plans. Preparing is important. Don't wait and don't be scared. Prepare. Don't be scared. Now, Amazon will not be displaying tariff prices because they're afraid. They're afraid. And I don't know what the president would do to Amazon for that, you know. And, you know, China's not even negotiating with America. China's not even negotiating with America, man. They don't care. Yeah, somebody said layoffs means fired. Yeah, I mean, it's a sad scenario, man. And it can happen to anyone. Now, there's more. Because Trump is being very nonchalant about all of this. This is another news brief I want to share with y'all. This is MSNBC. And Trump shrugs off shortage fears. Trump shrugs off shortage fears. Kids may get $2 instead of 30. I mean, who's putting together these sentences for Trump? Who's doing it? Let's go.
Is 100 days in the Trump presidency, the U.S. economy is now shrinking for the first time in years, and it's all Donald Trump's fault. That may sound...
Well, Donald Trump is being blamed, but like I told you brothers and sisters before, if you read this, and you read this, behold a pale horse, you'll find out that it ain't because of Donald Trump. It's because that the economy is supposed to fall. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. The economy is supposed to fall because the economy was built to fall. The Federal Reserve was built to fall. It wasn't never built to last. So, we're supposed to go into a new world order and ultimately a new currency. There's supposed to be digital currency. The dollar is supposed to implode. Trump is just being used. He's a puppet. Now, a lot of people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear about the economy falling. They don't want to hear about the mark of the beast coming, but it's all the Bible. It's just the scriptures. But you got a lot of people who can't deal with the scriptures as they are written. Let's go.
Overly simplistic or unfair, but in this case, it's just really true, much truer than it usually is with presidents. Remember where we were before all this, right? The last administration, President Joe Biden, had to deal with this enormous set of challenges, supply disruption that came out of the wake of COVID, and then inflation and the war in Ukraine, which spiked oil prices, and they managed to steer through the whole thing. Inflation came down as wages stayed high and unemployment neared record lows. They ended up with this kind of Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cool economy, a very difficult trick to pull off. It never went into recession, something so many people on TV kept saying was coming right around the corner over and over and over. And the upshot of all this was that Joe Biden handed Donald Trump an American economy that had gone through unbelievable turmoil and had emerged as the global growth leader. Donald Trump took office on January 20th with yet another sweet inheritance.
Honestly,
Man, and it's already a recession. A lot of people keep talking about it's a recession coming. Now, I know they talked about that during Biden's administration, but it was a recession. And we're in a recession now. Make no mistake about that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a recession that we're worried about. And it's not a recession that's coming. Y'all ready to know what's coming? The economy shutting down is coming. The dollar actually falling. That's not the same thing as a recession. We're talking about something that's never happened before. The dollar never fell. The economy never crashed before. We're not talking about a recession right now. They're just throwing that word up there to soften the blow. No, this is not a recession. This is an absolute start over.
Trump is inheriting a strong economy.
It's not like, a President Trump comes in and has to rebuild a broken down economy in his own way.
The setup's great, right? I mean, Trump is inheriting an economy, both a market economy, so the Wall Street economy looks good. Obviously, we're talking everything's up. The Main Street economy looks good.
Stay the course, folks. We're going to have the best economy of any industrialized country.
If it were a movie, this Economist magazine cover from last October would have been the kind of movie poster. America's economy, the envy of the world.
America's economy is not the envy of the world no more. China's is. Somebody said, Nubreed, I'm interested in putting money down for a piece of land where you have yours, how I started. Get your land. If you have the money to put down on some land, buy you some land. Purchase you some land. That's the intelligent move. Even if it's just a few acres. You got around 20 bands. You got around 15 to 20 bands. Get yourself a few acres. That's a lot of land. That's a lot of land. All you got to do is get you a real estate agent that can help you with that and do what you need to do. I recommend that to anybody. Let's go.
And again, All Donald Trump had to do was just not screw it up. But he's really, really intent on screwing it up. So today, we got this big flashing warning sign, which is that the American economy contracted, meaning it shrank. The nation's GDP, all the goods and services we all produce, the total value of the economy, it shrank in the first quarter of this year by 0.3%. Now, I should say, it contracted for somewhat weird reasons in terms of the technical measures of how this happens, how GDP accounting works, right? A huge part of driving this contraction number was that Americans actually massively increased, counterintuitively, our imports from other countries. Our trade deficits went up because, why? Well, because everyone's scared of higher costs and emptier shelves from the tariffs. Okay, but again, that's not some act of God. It's not a pandemic. People are behaving that way because Donald Trump has started this wildly...
The pandemic wasn't an act of God. The pandemic was planned too, allegedly. None of the economy falling was started by a flu. None of it. They did exactly what they were trying to do. They knew exactly the results of the pandemic. They knew what it would do to the economy, just like they know what the tariffs would do. It was all planned. The World Economic Forum showed you that. When they did all those simulations, all you got to do is do your research. When Bill Gates was talking about the VMAT2 gene, the God particle, they were telling you years ago what they were going to do. Let's go.
Destructive trade war, which is likely to continue to cost enormous amounts of growth and jack up prices on all imported goods and possibly pitch the economy fully into a recession. A new worry is that Trump's import tax will be a nightmare for Christmas. That's because supply chains take a very long time to materialize. Retailers are even ordering ahead for the Christmas season. And toy makers and retailers are now...
Shouldn't be celebrating Christmas anyway. It's a pagan holiday. Need to save your money up.
Pausing orders for the winter holidays. 90% of America's Christmas goods come from, yes, you guessed it, China. Barbie dolls, things like that, China. And if you're waiting for jolly old St. Trump to save Christmas, listen to this.
Mr. President, what do you speak to President Xi of China?
That'll happen. Look, right now, and I told you before, they're having tremendous difficulty because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, you know, and maybe the $2.
Man, see, it ain't just about dolls, though. It's about our goods. You know, it ain't China ain't just out here making baby dolls. You know, China makes, if I was to give an educated guess, I would say about 70% of the goods that you see in Walmart and Target are made in China. So I know that Trump can make light of the situation, but this is deeper than a Christmas holiday. You know what I'm saying? America, I like to say this all the time. America was made in China. That part. Let's go.
Will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally, but we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way.
Oh, the golden toilet guy is now preaching minimalism? Who needs all this stuff?
That's a good point. You know, it's like billionaires with golden toilets, billionaires with mansions, billionaires with multiple businesses can tell you that, well, look, you know, y'all can be minimalist. All right, so what? You don't have items in the store. And this is why the Bible says, charge those who are rich. All this deficit that we got going on, the Bible says we're supposed to charge the rich. It's not supposed to fall on our shoulders. This is not supposed to fall on our backs. No. We're supposed to have things in abundance. And I tell you, bro, it's the millionaires, them billionaires. Hey, even though, I don't celebrate Christmas, I don't recommend it at all. It's pagan. You know what I'm saying? It's Nimrod worship. Anyway, let's go.
Really? Imagine if that had been Donald Trump's 2024 campaign message. You already have too much crap, you spoiled brats. You and your kids are going to have to make do with less, and the less stuff is going to be more expensive. Every economic expert and CEO has been warning him for months that this would happen, but he's not listening to them because he's listening to himself and his own experts like Peter Navarro.
When you strip out inventories and the negative effects of the surge in imports because of the tariffs, you had 3% growth. So we really like where we're at now.
Yes, it's true. If not for the tariffs, it would be great because you'd basically have the Biden economy that Trump inherited. The Wall Street Journal reports instead that the Dow is now headed for its worst April since Herbert Hoover in 1932, the height of the Great Depression. That the S&P 500's performance since Inauguration Day is now the worst for any president up to this point in data going back to 1928. Of course, Trump's spin is not a new one. Blame Joe Biden.
I don't view the stock market as the end all. It's an indicator. But what the stock market really tells you, and when you look at the stock market in this case, is it says how bad a situation we inherited. This is a quarter that we looked at today, and we took all of us together. We came in on January 20th. So this is Biden, and you could even say the next quarter is sort of Biden because it doesn't just happen.
I've noticed that every president always blaming each other while nothing gets better. Every time things are going wrong in the office, they revert back to the former president. It's like clockwork. Biden did it the whole time with Trump. Now Trump's doing it with Biden. And this should make people realize that maybe we should throw in a towel when it comes to relying on presidents to fix the world. Maybe we should start looking within. I mean, how we gonna win if we ain't right within? For real. Because these political mind games are getting out of pocket. Let's go.
Daily or an hourly basis.
Okay, this quarter, maybe the next quarter or two, that'll be Biden. Although if there's growth next quarter, I bet you it won't be Biden. It's so strange how the stock market under President Trump is really Joe Biden's, while the stock market under Joe Biden was somehow Trump's.
The Biden team can say, well, if things are so bad, how come the stock market's on a roll?
Because they think I'm going to be elected.
That you think the stock market's rallying because people think you're going to be elected?
Yeah.
Between inflation and the horrible economy, and the only reason, by the way, the stock market goes up is that I'm leading at all the polls. If I weren't leading, the stock market would be way down.
A lot of people say the only reason the stock market's high is everyone thinks I'm going to win the election. I believe that's true. I don't want to say this. It's too braggadocious, but we'll say it anyway. The Trump effect. It's you. You're the effect.
But now that junk crashing. Well, what's up with my stream deck? What's up with that? But now that junk is crashing. That's what I'm talking about. Pride, bro. Pride coming before a fall. There we go. Let's rewind that real quick. What's going on with the stock market before you got in?
The Trump effect. It's you. You're the effect. Since the election, the stock market has surged.
Now that jump crashed.
So credit where credit's due. This is Donald Trump's economy now. It really is his. He truly owns it. The stock market went down because of what he did. Again, this is genuinely pretty rare for presidents, right? The presidents get praise or blame for the economy, but they don't affect it in the tangible and immediate way that Donald Trump has done so. Economic growth in America is now negative because of solely what Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone did. Not even anything that Congress did, because he did it unilaterally. And all he had to do was nothing. Just build on the economy he had inherited. And he chose to squander it instead.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, people want solutions. The solution is cleave to the creator. The solutions is link up with people who see the world as you see it. Stay away from people who have dead energy, people who are lackadaisical, people who are procrastinators, people who don't want to do. Look, let me go back here for a second. Because, people want to know why I'm so invested in politics. I'm telling you, man, our people need some global responsibilities. Our people need to understand what we're capable of, right? We need to get it. Now, I want to play this real quick once again.
Democratic Republic.
Yeah.
We're number one.
Yeah, and we're ready to come home. Right. And this is our sister. She's the vice president. She's an imam.
There's the vice president of Liberia.
And we're here with our chief, our Paul.
And when we went up here, guess who came following? Kamala Harris came down there right while we were down here making history. I don't know if somebody sicked her on us to follow us, but I don't believe in coincidences. While we were in Africa doing real works, she was in Africa down there trying to promote gay marriage. And Africa wasn't having it.
And he has granted.
And look, let me show you how they jiggle the wires. Elder Shammai was about to say they have granted us 400,000 acres. But look what the computer did. Look what the glitch in the matrix did when he said that. Just watch. Pay attention.
Our Paul, and he has granted.
You see how it just tweaked out? Y'all see that? He was about to say he have granted us 400,000 acres. But they jiggled the wires.
Nubreed.
It skipped it. Y'all peeped that.
Truth. We have
introduce everyone.
Yes. Ambassador Sorba.
Yes, I'm the resident ambassador here in Liberia, trying to encourage our brothers to come back home.
Yes.
America is not your home. Come back home. It's time.
Excellent. And we have our ambassador here in Liberia.
Ambassador Ibrahim Willem, United Nations of Israel, here representing the entire in the diaspora to make sure they come back and live all together so they can build our own country Liberia.
Excellent. They know you are.
Yeah, they know already. You already know me. Come on home, y'all. The Liberian government is ready to work along with all of us to come back home and make Africa a big empire again, starting from Liberia. So come on home. We're here with our mom, Madam Vice President, and she have opened her arms to our brothers that came from the United States, and you can see it for yourself. This is live, this is real, and Liberia is willing to work with every one of you.
Yes.
Shalom.
Some people didn't. Some people in the United States didn't believe.
Some people in the United States didn't believe that we was really going to be sitting up with dignitaries in the White House.
Yeah, that's okay. I want to make sure. No, wait. Okay. Here you go. You got it. All right, family, make sure that you like this video right away.
And let's talk about Liberian voices for a moment, too. Because, sometimes the Western world gives a bad rap. Y'all already know how the news media does. And they make it seem like it's totally male-dominated and chauvinistic. That couldn't be further from the truth. Here we were just discussing this book here called Liberian Voices. And I want to let you all know that there's powerful opportunities for ladies as well here. That's right. Yeah. Now people ask, Bree, what's the solutions? As if Nubreed haven't been out in the field trying to get solutions for our people. Nubreed, what's the solutions? What about solutions? People who haven't done the work. People who haven't networked. People who haven't done it. Respect, no disrespect to the brother who asks. There's other people who ask in a very condescending way, right? They do it in a condescending way. Let's go. In Liberia. And you're hearing it from Madam VP, Vice President of Liberia. So you can take it 100%. It's true. You hear me? So, yeah. Yes, indeed.
What questions do you have for the VP?
Well, one question I would like to ask you is the people back at home in America,
what is a message that you could just give, a resounding message for them to know who they are as far as their historical background? Because a lot of people are aware who watch the channel, but I'm pretty sure some people will be educated by coming directly from the motherland, coming directly from where we came from.
Okay. I'm Jewel Howard Taylor, the first female vice president of Liberia. Liberia was created by returnees from America.
Liberia was created by returnees from America. So a lot of people look at our skin color and they believe that we don't know what we're talking about when it comes to politics, when it comes to democracy, when it talks about nation building, government. You know, people believe that we don't know nothing about it. On the contrary, we established Liberia. Returnees from America established Liberia.
And our brothers who have been sold for over 400 years came back.
That's right. The brothers who have been sold for over 400 years came back.
Sold for over 400 years came back and created a nation of liberty. And we're 175 or 6 years this year. And it is an old country, the first democratic republic on the continent. But our linkage to the United States is blood. It's not friendship, it's blood linkages. And so if you're looking for anywhere to visit, it has to be.
Now, let me make this clear. The children of Israel were spread across the four corners of the world. That includes Jamaica, Panama, Africa, Cuba, DR, all over the places. The 12 tribes of Israel were spread abroad all across the four corners of the world. The Spirit bear witness to the truth. We know who we are because when we read that word, we can connect to it. We don't have to go through a bunch of DNA tests to know that we're God's people. Let's go.
Liberia, because we have blood ties, we have family ties, and most of the Black Americans, if they go and check their DNA, they will find out that they're linked to this land. Right. Oprah Winfrey, I understand, had done some DNA.
That's right. And Oprah Winfrey ain't doing a damn thing for Liberia, but she did her DNA and found out that she's linked to Liberia, but ain't did nothing for them. That's right.
A few years ago. And in fact, she comes from the place I come from. Somehow she hasn't come to visit. But there is no greater experience than coming home and touching your feet on the soil of this nation. You'll feel that connection. And this is home. I look forward to welcoming you guys very soon. Let's start to rebuild the Africa of our dreams. This is where it's happening. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much.
So, any other questions that you have? Oh, for the chief and for Madam VP.
Oh, also, let's ask the chief questions too as well. Chief, could you give us a little bit of education towards the land that you showed? Okay, I brung up the land again. So praises to the Most High that I brung the land up again because it skipped. It skipped. So let's go. And the beauty of it and also the history. The history of the land that was given to us. The beauty of it, all of it. A little bit of history on that. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, all of these Israelite camps, churches, congregations, so forth. We have access to enough land to fit everyone. If they want to leave Babylon behind today or tomorrow, there's enough land to fit every single congregation, church, camp, you name it. You know, you got a lot of people out here who acting like they building community, but they're not building community. They're just building churches. This is community. This is what it takes to talk to the tribal community, to talk to the dignitaries, to actually politic. That's what it actually takes. Not just playing church all the time.
He said to me, and to confess with you guys, a simple passage that means appropriate because it's a fruitful land. Can see one India, one example, that is one just so. Can they say from the call, okay, I will be here.
Kim C says, are you moving to Liberia, Nubreed? Perhaps one day. But see, my job is to make sure that our people unify. And the thing is, we have to build something here first because we got to crawl before we can walk. That's what UP Farms is about. We have 100 acres in UP Farms. So if we can't come together, ladies and gentlemen, if we can't fundraise, if we can't network, if we can't communicate, if we can't link up with each other and build on 110 acres, why on earth would I even attempt to bring my people bring our people all the way across the Red Sea, across the Ivory Coast and all on 400,000 of acres when we couldn't do 100 in North Carolina? See, I'm just a person that's giving you the opportunities to do something. The Most High just put me in a position where I can inform you about what we have. It's up to the people to do something. So when people ask me about solution, only thing that I could think is, well, I'm doing my part. I mean, do you want me to build it too? Do you want me to go snatch people out their homes and force them into agriculture? Force them to see the importance of getting on some land? I mean, am I not doing my job? That's the question. Am I not playing my role, my position? Sister 1973 shares Ezekiel 3:17 through 19. Look, they tried it. If he fails to warn them, they will die in their sins. He will be held accountable. Exactly. Let's go.
If you guys go back and look, if you go to person focus at first, and upgrade who were coming to us way back in the 1800s, if you guys are come back from your great-great-grandparents, indeed, you got to turn the land over to the guy. This is why that's our land, the chief coming over to the people. Once we have seen his brother and that person will come in, of course, and you are welcome home because there are a lot of good things.
And what Sister 1973 just shared was absolute true. We are held responsible for warning the people, showing the people solutions. We are responsible for moving accordingly, or the blood will be on my hands. If I didn't make my material and warn you brothers and sisters to what's to come, the blood will be on my hands. Right? Let's go.
She assumed you give some detailed history about this country that also notified that indeed is a chief protector, joint our president of the Republic of Liberia. This is our renowned bishop.
So I know it may be a little bit difficult to understand what's being said here, but he's given us the history on why the land is ours, why they're giving us access, right? Let's go. This right here, that's my brother from another, man. That's my brother, you with Tazah. I know a lot of you people have heard this brother's name. He's definitely infamous. This man been doing community work longer than I have. You understand? I learned a lot from this brother. How to, community build and so forth. But let's go.
As you can see, there are a lot of people that are making sure that this is the door of return. Right here, Nubreed.
Oh man, all praises to the Most High. This is prophecy in the making, and this is history in the making.
That's right.
Sam was taken forth, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have to share this video everywhere, like the video everywhere. Hey, listen, I just want to open up the doors of opportunity in the land that we came from, and we got to take full advantage of those opportunities. Listen, we love each and every one of y'all. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President, Madam Vice President, for your time.
Yes, and this is our nation, one nation, your nation, under the Most High Almighty. Thank you, man.
That's right. And look, that was done live. That was done live. It ain't no, look, we not like the news. We did that live. No camera crew, no repeat, none of that. No repeat, no do-overs, none of that. Nothing scripted, straight off the spirit, off the cuff. That's how we go, man. That's how we go. But, you know, I just wanted to come through and talk about Trump's first 100 days in office. Look, you know, they were better off putting one of us in office. Look, y'all want to know who they should have put in office? What's the solution? The solution is to put one of us in the office. I guarantee y'all gas wouldn't be where it's at. We definitely would have figured something out. Anyway, man, all praises to the Most High. Y'all have a blessed one. More material coming. Y'all stay blessed out there. With that being said, shalom and peace.